Okay, tonight we're going to talk about server property again. And I say again because I just finished recording this not 20 seconds ago, and for some reason the video came out blank. So, now I'm pissed off, but I got to make this video tonight because I said I would. So anyway, okay, server property. Let me see if I can remember what I said. And you're going to get it really eloquently the second time around, right? Okay, server property is meant to get around a problem that we have in databases of having to compare all of our server properties to each other. Now, of course, I really doubt it was meant for that purpose. I think it was meant just to be able to isolate a server property, but in code, so that you could check something in code. But that really comes in play when you're comparing several servers, for like policies, right? I mean, that's the perfect that's the perfect usage for the caught my policies. But let's take a look at what we've had so far. Now, we've had server property for a long time, but for some reason a lot of people don't use it, or a lot of people don't know about it. I'm not really sure, but for some reason everybody's in love with AT version. And I'm not really sure why, because I've got this big string of information here. Here, let me get rid of this guy. I've got this big string of information here, and all of it, like I said, is in a big string. So if I want to see, what build number I've got, or whether or not I've got, 64-bit or anything, whether I'm on Enterprise, there it is right there, Enterprise, I have to search this whole thing. And that's just if it's manually. And it's not too bad if you're doing it manually. But if you're trying to compare several boxes, then you would have to write some pretty horrendous code to mine those individual pieces out of there. And it's just not worth it. Now, one of the benefits you're going to get from me having to do this a second time is I refuse to write that code again. So what I'm going to show you now is the code that we use for server property and some of the things I do around that, right? So, and this will be quick, don't worry. So here I've got server property. Now, we've got this whole thing up here, right? Now, if I just wanted to say select right, that's how I do the whole thing, just one of them, so I get SP2. So one of the things that you don't get over here is you don't get to know what 3042 is. You have no idea what the base service pack is for that, right? Well, here you can see that it's SP2. Now, this won't give you hotfix information, but this won't either. This gives you the exact build. But what if I wanted to know, outside of hotfixes, which one of my boxes wasn't at least up on SP2 or SP3, or which one of my boxes were still on RTM? This is the absolute perfect way to find out about that, because you don't have to mine it. You can just put this collection out there for all of your boxes, and then you can, insert it all into one table, and then you can collect it like that, and you can compare them. Line by line or column by column, right? So you could say, everything that isn't SP2 or everything that is SP1 or SP or RTM, right? And then you could bring your boxes up to code. Now I've got this one here, and you can see here that I've added a collection date. All I did was put a get date in front of it, right? But I've got, SP2, I can see that it's Enterprise Edition 64-bit. I can see the machine name. I can see the resource level. Okay. And then we've got edition ID right here. And this edition ID is really just a numeric identifier for the edition. So the edition is Enterprise Edition, and the edition ID is right there. And you can use that to compare editions instead of using instead of using the addition. You know, you can use the addition ID. It'll not only be faster, but it'll be more accurate, right? So, you know, with this, you can compare things, but not only compare, but you can keep histories. So if you do this once a day, once a week, right? And you keep this in a table and you keep the collection date in there, then when you see something as SP3, you know, you can go back and you can see when it went from SP2 to SP3, and it may become important. Say that, you know, in a month something happens and somebody comes and tells you that that they've got a problem with their server, and you say, okay, well, what's changed today? And they go, well, I've actually been having this problem for a few weeks. And you go, well, Jesus, why didn't you tell me that before? And they'll say, and then you'll say, well, okay, so how long has the problem been going on? And they'll say, well, it's been going on about, I don't know, 3 weeks. So the thing that you can do is you can go back in here and say, okay, can you pin it down any more? And then you can come back in here and you can see when the SP level changed, or when the resource version changed too, and you can see if something was applied at about that time that may throw that off. So it's a really good collection to have. So if I'm at 304.2 now, and you know, I take this up to 308.6, that's just a made-up number. I have no idea what the next number would be. But if I take this up to 308.6 and somebody complains in a couple weeks, and I'm collecting this info every day, then, you know, I'm going to easily be able to see, you know, the relationship of my change to their problem, right? And that's, of course, assuming that, you know, all the other factors are falling in place, like they know exactly when the problem started, or, you know, maybe it was, you know, maybe the problem started with a particular process that they only run every month or every 2 months, in which case, you know, it doesn't really help that much at all. You know, there are a few things that could be solved by this. You can see when some rogue admin is out there, you know, updating service packs. You won't have his name, but you can help narrow it down by, you know, the date it is, right? So anyway, that's server property, and it's actually pretty cool. It's my favorite. I never use AT version, even if all I want is, you know, one of these individual pieces of information that I know is in there. I almost always use server property and pull either the resource version or SP level, and usually I pull them in tandem, right? Because I haven't memorized the resource versions. I have no idea what they are. 304.2 is SP2. Yeah, sure, I only know that because it says SP2 right here. It's the only reason I know that, and in 5 minutes I'll forget it. So anyway, that's server property, and start using it and start collecting it every day. It's actually pretty cool.